Good morning, everybody. This is Joe Berninger from Cooperative for Education, and I'm really happy to be able to give you guys a little bit of an update on our work in Guatemala. And thank you to everybody out there who has been a longtime supporter of our work. And if you've already received some of these updates from me, I apologize. I'll give them to you again. They're all very exciting, and really every time I talk about them, I get pumped up anew. So again, thanks for your attention and for being part of this update. A really quick reminder to all of you veterans out there, and for anybody new on the conference, our mission for Cooperative for Education is breaking the cycle of poverty in Guatemala through education. And that I believed back 20 years ago when we started the organization that a good mission statement should fit on the front of a t-shirt. That way everybody can remember it. And it's proved to be true. So over the years, even if I go out to one of our schools or talk to our students at the schools, this mission statement is one that they may not even remember the name of the organization, but they understand that we are about breaking the cycle of poverty through education. So we accomplished this mission by focusing on three primary areas. One is reading. There is nothing more fundamental than that in the developing world. If a child doesn't learn to read in school, studies show that they drop out at an early age, and they go back to a life of subsistence farming and repeat the cycle of poverty. So reading is key. We train an army of 800 grade school teachers who will go out and utilize effective literacy teaching methods in their schools, and they're educating an entire generation of Guatemalan school children. Second, technology skills, also very fundamental in the 21st century, to be able to use a computer, to be able to use a tablet, to be able to use a smartphone, and enter the job market, knowing how to use key pieces of equipment like cash registers and so forth. Technology skills, another important focus area. Currently, we have about 14,000 students each and every week that are going through our technology centers throughout Guatemala and gaining these important skills. And then finally, third, life skills and high school graduation. So currently, only 1 out of 10 students in Guatemala graduate from high school, but with this program, over 8 out of 10 graduate. So a very key program, again, for breaking kids out of poverty. We know from research that we've done over many, many years that if a kid gets a high school diploma and they don't have more than 4 children, they will be out of poverty statistically for the rest of their lives. Look at that stack of books, and I can appreciate it because I helped carry those in from the trucks. This is Cabricon School, one of the textbook program schools that just came into the program this past February. So we got to be down there with a big group from Rotary, and we delivered this set of books to them. And there was an audience of parents just sitting there watching in amazement as we and the kids unloaded our trucks and carried all these books up to the stage. We are celebrating, and this was a very fitting school to celebrate it in San Marcos in Guatemala. We're celebrating our 200th textbook program. So since 1996, this is the 200th school to receive and sustain textbooks in their schools through this remarkable program. The program is educating 27,000 kids right now in Guatemala. So it's 27,000 kids. If you see them on the street, you see their backpacks, you ask them to open up their backpack and get out the contents. They have Cooperative for Education books inside, all supported by the GLP. Woo, look at that enthusiasm. These are kids at El Mesias Junior High School in San Marcos. If I could only get my kids at home this excited about their books. I've got teenagers and they are not cheering about their textbooks. In Guatemala, they do. The kids go to school without books most of their lives. So when books do come to them at the grade school level or the junior high level, they get excited. The whole community comes out. They put pine needles on the ground. All of you who have been down with me before, you've seen this. the enthusiasm from everybody is just palatable when the first books come to the school. Another cool thing that we celebrate here at El Macias is the sustainability, long-term sustainability of this program. This was their third replacement of the book. So they got the books in the early 2000s, used them for 5 or 6 years, replaced them once, used them for another 5 or 6 years, replaced them again, and this is now the third replacement of book. This year, just so you know, among our system of 200 schools in this program, 40 of them replaced books this year. Very, very strong sustainability component for this program. And we had a lot of milestones. So on this tour, we also had the milestone of the 50th computer center put out there by COED, supported by the GLP. And for those of you who've been down with us to Guatemala before, you'll recognize that gringo there with the scissors in his hand. That's Howard Lobb cutting the ribbon on the 50th computer center. Howard is our director of program development now and partner development in Guatemala. And but prior to that, he was the founder and the director of our technology program. So he started this program back in 2001. It was really fitting and appropriate for him to be the guy to cut the ribbon of the 50th center here in 2019. 13,000 kids from around Guatemala attend one of these 50 computer centers, and as I said before, are gaining the technical skills, the computer skills, the networking, and internet skills that they're going to need to be successful when they enter the workforce. Our research shows that about 2/3 of the jobs in Guatemala today require significant computer skills. And so if the kids in the rural areas don't get them, again, they're condemned to repeat the cycle of poverty. Woohoo! A lot of excitement. It was a great day. A lot to be proud of and excited about. When I go to Guatemala, I love to sit there and pull up one of the first graders or second graders next to me and do a reading of a book. So I do it kind of as a little field test because prior to this program, the Spark Reading Program, formerly called CORP, Culture Reading Program, teachers in Guatemala did not believe that it was possible that a first grader could learn how to read. You know, they had seen before in Guatemala, if the kids stay in school, it's second grade, it's third grade, it's sometimes until fourth grade that the light of reading and literacy clicks on in their brain. And they did not believe it was possible that a child could learn to read at the end of first grade. So this is Pedro. He's a first grader, and I walked into his classroom, never met these kids before, sat down with them, and first I started to read. And I'm reading the book with Pedro, and he's following along with me, and I'm tracking with my finger. And then I'm reading every word, tracking with my finger. I see his head follow me along, and then I stopped reading, but I kept tracking. And he picked up right where I left off. And Pedro was reading every word that I was pointing to and understanding the meaning of those words. So Pedro had learned to read. He was one of the better students in the class, and he was getting near the end of his first grade year. So the teachers that take our training are believers that the kids can learn to read better, faster with this program. And it's really cool to see with Pedro. And there's Pedro's teacher introducing a book. As I've said many times before, one of the neat things that the teachers learn, they learn about 150 new critical strategies for teaching kids to read. And one of them is to simply read to the kids every day. With teachers coming from backgrounds where they did not study with books when they were kids. They didn't have books in their homes. They never had books when they were learning to be teachers. And they need to be given skills and techniques to use the books effectively when they're given. And one of those skills, again, is simply making sure you're reading to the kids in the class at least a half an hour a day. And be sure to show the kids the pictures. That's another thing that's not intuitive. If you don't show them, teach them to turn the book around, they don't always do that. So on your screen, you should be seeing a double bar chart right about now. Spark reading results. This is grade 1 reading comprehension measured in Chimaltenango when we did this program. And this is our first RCT, randomized controlled trial, to measure the benefits of the Spark Reading program. So this program is about 12 years old, and we've measured it every year. So we've always had measurement. We've always done pre and post testing. This is the first year we've done a full randomized control trial where we have had a control group of schools that did not receive the program but were still tested, compared to a control group, compared to a treatment group of schools that received the program. It's our first conclusive evidence that this program not only makes a difference, but it makes a huge difference in the speed at which the kids learn to read. So as you see on the screen, the Spark group, the group that had the trained teachers through our program, those kids progressed in their reading comprehension at 2.2 times the rate, so more than double the rate of the kids in the control group. And this study was done independently with the help of the University of Cincinnati and Del Valle University in Guatemala. So we are super pumped up about this, concrete proof that this program is making a huge difference, and we're looking to get it out to the world. So you're one of the first to see that. I love these pictures. Every time I get a chance when I'm in Guatemala to talk to the kids that have benefited from our scholarships, and if they're showing us their home or anytime when their parents are around, I love to put them in a picture with mom or with dad, because I think it shows just, it's in a way our mission statement in one photo. It is a dedicated parent who is super hardworking and super committed to the life of their children. This is Yenny Shikai and her mom, so the mom's on the left. So mom has 10 kids. She raised 10 children in that little house. Mom never went to school a day in her life, so she is completely illiterate. If you ask her to sign a piece of paper, she signs with her thumbprint. But she has worked tirelessly to give educational opportunities to her children. She makes very little money, and the only one of her children who has graduated from high school is Yenny, there on the right. Yenny was able to accomplish this because she participated in the RISE program. So you see just in one photograph here, breaking the cycle of poverty in Guatemala through education, our living, breathing mission statement. And we really congratulate all of these kids. It's such a huge milestone for them and for their families to graduate from middle school and then graduate from high school. And then that kid, the rest of their lives, are going to be out of extreme poverty. Okay, so I'd like to wrap up the presentation here. This is our last slide. And with just a quick reminder of the scope and scale of co-ed's work supported by the GLP. And when I look at this myself, I'm thinking, wow, you know, how did we end up with over 200 communities in this textbook program and 50 communities in the computer center program, 84 schools with Spark reading programs, 729 kids on scholarships. Now, I remember when I knew all the scholarship kids by name, we only had a handful of them, and now there's 729. And people ask me, like, how did you guys grow this huge? And I like to say, well, you know, it's poco a poco. Every year a little more, every year a little more. We've been doing it now for 22 years. But the real answer to this is the program sustainability. For the programs that have a very strong fee-based sustainability component, for example, a textbook program and a computer project, because the way they're built, you put books in a school and it's self-sufficient financially forever. You put computers in a school, it's financially self-sufficient forever from that point forward. So year 5 and year 6 and year 7, after you put these programs in, instead of us having to use the organization's resource to go back and replace those books or replace those computers, the communities themselves are replacing their books and computers, and we're able to use our money then to expand the program further to new communities. So that's why we have hundreds, is because of the design of the program. Our money's off the table after the first year, and we can use our money then to expand to new communities. And little by little, we've grown up to now over 200,000 students benefited. So that's our McDonald's number. 200,000 students have had their lives significantly changed and put on the pathway out of poverty through education. So thank you so much for your support. I want to conclude the presentation here. Whether you're a Rotarian participating in the Guatemala Literacy Project, we thank you so much for your support and your involvement. You'd be looking at an empty map if it was not for Rotary International and the GLP's heavy involvement here. If you're from outside of Rotary, we also thank you for your support, your dollars, your time, your energy, your positivity and support have been crucial for making this program what it has been for all of these years. And people ask me, like, so where are we going with this, Joe? Like, what's the end point? I see a lot of flags on that map. Are you just looking to put more flags out there? And what I tell them is first of all, yes, there is still a ton of need in Guatemala for these programs. There are many, many people who are lined up, hardworking families who want to help get their children out of poverty through education and believe in these opportunities are lined up. We have 10 times the need as we do the resources to meet the need. So we're going to be working in Guatemala for a long time. But the more flags we get on the map and the more dense those flags become, the more we're going to see tipping points. We're going to be hitting tipping points in communities where you start to see that, especially for girls, being educated is not something that is unusual or not done. It's the norm. Seeing educated women throughout the government and throughout in local businesses and so forth will not be the rare exception. That will be the norm. And with that greater level of education and greater number of educated people in these communities, you see all sorts of things begin to improve in those communities. And the whole community begins to rise up out of poverty. First of all, in a family of 10, you educate 1 or 2 kids, they get jobs and they start funding the education of their younger siblings. So 1 or 2 scholarships often becomes 4 or 5 scholarships. People vote more responsibly when they're educated. People take better care of the environment. People mothers get their kids immunized. People who live in malarial areas know to use bed nets. So many other factors begin to take hold that are positive for a community and help get communities out of poverty once education levels go up. So long-term vision here is more flags, denser flags, and then we hit tipping points that begin to change the entire country. And then the country changes the entire region, and then we change the world through our efforts. So thank you again for being part of this, and God bless you all, and we really appreciate all of your support.